Anthony. How's it going? A big, warm welcome to you.
Hello. How's it going, you guys?
It's going
This is really amazing. It's a lot of fun. I love the music. I'm afraid that performers are performers. You know, I'll try to be a performer myself here, but I'm an artist type behind the scenes. So.
Well, we've all been waiting for this session to know more about our famous and our favorite animation films. So I'm going to leave the floor to you. I'll be backstage. We'll come back. We'll have a fun quiz. We have a Q&A poll round. And of course, I'm going to put you on the spot with a rapid fire round as well. But meanwhile, Anthony, The floor is yours. Take it away.
Cool. All right. So my name is Anthony, and I'm from Bulgaria, the same as the lady before me. She was amazing. She really impressed me. But I spent many years working in Hollywood as an art director for Pixar, the last 18 years of which, before I left and retired, and I'm back home. And I would like to share some of the excitement and some of the basic rules about designing and building characters for films. Music is part of what we do. It's a very important part of it. But I have always been on the visual side, on the design side of things. And as such, we started a school, academy in Rome, in the center of Rome, that this year, and this couple of last years, two maybe going on third year, because ever since COVID, we actually became an online school, so people from all over the world have a possible opportunity to join us. You don't have to move to Rome to attend. And it's a school called Idea Academy. And I just want to show you just a few things about the academy. This is what our website looks like. When you go on it, it's called Idea Academy Rome, and you will see some of the work, the gallery of the work of the artists that graduate. It's the portfolios. They're all for you to take a look at and enjoy. I think some of the work that they're doing. We have a bunch of kids from India actually as well this year because of the remote situation. And so we train in the visual side of things, art direction, visual design, which, like I said, it is in combination with every other art form, storytelling, music, technology, programming. Everything comes together to come up with these great films or video games. And essentially, they're part of the same brand. This is Idea Academy and the gallery that I was showing you about with the different portfolios. I think it's fantastic work that they did there, that the artists that took part in. This is from last year's students. So many of them are just phenomenally interesting and beautifully done. The portfolios of the students are here for you to just take a look at and see what we're doing. We design it, like I said, for film and for video game development on the visual side. Now, when we design characters for film, it's a little bit different than designing for illustration, for example. And the difference is that there is the element of time, which we have a limited amount of time to register an image, a visual, and for that, the drawing needs to be very concise, very direct to the point in the design of every shot. For example, most films, animated films, have roughly 1,900 different shots. And if you break it down to the 70 or so minutes, that is a film, every shot actually comes down to roughly a second and a half, 2 seconds, which means that tells you that everything needs to be really concise. Very often the original sketches that you start with, the visual, the concepts, end up, and I'll show you a few. I imagine that you're seeing my screen, right? A few sketches of how some really rough sketches that I did ended up in the film. This is obviously from Finding Nemo. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was a while ago, but it was a classic. So here's some sketches As you can see, original, really rough blue sketch drawings, and the final shot of the film, it's actually not that different as a concept. The same thing here. This is inside the submarine. So the story comes from, obviously, from a story department. There are people that are busy just doing story on their story department, in the story department, but everybody's engaged, because in everything that we do, the story is the most important thing that we're telling. We're telling a story. And so the visual artists, the musicians, the directors, the technical people, everybody is involved in this process of storytelling, so everybody participates in that. For example, in the submarine, in Finding Nemo, the art department contributed greatly to the story action there, because we designed this beautiful submarine and we wanted to make a use out of it. And so the idea of the chase within the submarine came from the artists in the art department that were designing the environments. And the story department really liked that, so they changed the story essentially. Here's some really rough, the one below, it's kind of dark, you can see it, but it's the mines, the minefield. Here above, I have a concept, and the concept translates pretty kind of closely to the final product. Here we have, we put together these different, we call them blobs, which is essentially the coral reef. And obviously, we designed and built all these corals, and we cannot mimic exactly the process of the coral, because what happens is the coral reef essentially is a coral comes up and then it dies, and new coral comes up on top of it, and it dies, and it grows like this until it becomes shape and shapes and shapes that comprise all this dead coral with live coral on the top of it. And obviously, if you do that in the computer, in the CG world, that's going to be very, very heavy model and very expensive. So we came up with these shapes that we dressed with coral, and we call that set dressing, with dressing the sets. That's essentially another, that's a very, it's also a very important part of the process, and there are people who actually do that. They're called set dressers. Here's some sketches from WALL-E. As you can see, similar concept, which brings us to designing a world to build the character, to kind of really point out who this person is by designing a world that informs us about this character. When you walk into somebody's house, for example, you have a new friend on the blog, and they invite you to come to their house. Our instinct is to look around and see where we are and what's inside. And it's not so much to judge them. It's not so much to get some decorating ideas. It's mostly to kind of figure out who are they, who are they dealing with. If they had some hunting rifles and heads of games on the walls, then you're going to figure out, okay, these people are they're hunters. They're a little dangerous. If they had a big mess there, then you kind of you draw a conclusion about them. And so when we design the worlds, we definitely use that to build the character of the person and to indicate who they are. For example, this is a concept of Wall-E's truck on the outside, and we originally it was placed under an overpass, and it was kind of a really cozy environment. So there was a truck, and there was like a little bit of backyard and front yard, and it was kind of a really pleasant, within the trash of the city, obviously a pleasant environment. And then later on, we decided that probably this is not a very good idea, because yes, he is a very lovely person on the inside, and he's very cozy. He likes to be cozy, and we decided that we're going to make the interior of the truck very cozy. And that is going to, and everything that he's collected, all of his interests will be there. But the exterior, we placed the very truck on the top of a broken overpass, essentially, that he's there very lonely. That indicates how lonely he is, the last robot left on Earth. And he is by himself. And the fact that the overpass had crumbled also indicates that he's kind of stuck. He's stuck there. He's not going anywhere. And so the very the exterior of his house kind of telegraphs, really informs us of his essence and his predicament, his situation, which obviously doesn't stop him from being a very happy kind of a person with a great deal of inner peace. Here's some sketches, again, just showing you how the rough sketches eventually become the finals of the film that we watch in the movie theaters. This is actually the ceiling here on the docking bay. I was inspired by the train station here in my native town of Sofia in Bulgaria. This is very interesting as well because it's an environment that shows Wally's character. He's very curious, but at the same time he's very romantic. So he fell in love with Eve from the first day because they're very different. They're contrasting. He's square and kind of rough and rusty, and she's perfect, right? So obviously, he's going to fall in love with her. And this was a scene originally that was basically in some sludge river in the environmentally disastrous Earth that people left behind. But we decided to put this whole setup in a oil refinery because in many ways, the oil refinery reminds me of a very romantic city that I went to with my kids the year before, called Venice here in Europe. And the same kind of, there's balconies, there is bridges, there is different elements that if you just imagine, they can be parts of the city of Venice, the stairs and bridges. And so, you're looking at this, you're watching this scene and you're not telling yourself right away, oh, this is like Venice. But subconsciously, because Venice is very iconic and it's kind of imprinted itself in our subconsciousness. We've seen it on TVs. I'm sure everybody has seen it somewhere. And it kind of it's a very strong association with a romantic location. So just by doing that, you're indicating, you're kind of placing him there. You're helping the audience kind of understand that he's actually a very romantic little guy. So now we're going to go back to his the interior of his truck, and it's a wide screen. So I'm going to go a little bit as much as I can, as fast as I can. So. Again, you can see how lonely he is here. This is his truck here, and there's nothing around him, which symbolizes his life. This is his truck. He's got a pattern. He does the same thing every night. What does that do? What does it tell us? It tells us that he's a creature of habit, which endears him even more to us because we all have these little habits that we do, little things that we like to do when we get home, when we leave home. And little by little, we're getting his interests are getting revealed to us with the lighting just coming down, and we see that he is actually a very curious person. It's a curious place. He's high on life. He likes different things. He sees different things, and he collects them, and he's trying to understand what was their use. So as you can see, the lights, which means that he likes a very nice kind of romantic atmosphere for himself. He's got habits, like I said. Here is, he puts his tracks there, like we all would do when we get home. We take our shoes off, we put them in the same place. He doesn't understand what everything that he's collected is for. That's not his job. He's not programmed to use these props, but he's curious and he finds his own way of using these props, which endears him even more to us. Again, the makeshift, he's find a way to enlarge the screen that he's watching. It's a hubcap that, why not? It could be used as a hat. All right, so this is something called spork in the US. I'm not sure if that's universal in the world, but it's a combination between a spoon and a fork. And obviously, that's the first time he's encountered one. So he's trying to make some sense. What this is, just even the props, not just the environments, help with the character building, because he's trying to find the logic in everything that he sees and build a good idea of what is this environment that he's in. And when he cannot, like in this particular case, when he cannot really understand the differences, he just decides to, okay, I'm going to put it in between. That also shows his character, that he's a very curious person that likes to have some order in his life. He puts the lighters with the lighters. There's a bit of an OCD going on there, but hey, that makes him human as well. That makes him likable, even more so. Because we all have a little bit of OCD in ourselves. And obviously, he's very romantically inclined. He's lonely. He's missing. He's missing love and the connection. The fact that he's putting his hands together, it shows us obviously that he is missing the connection with somebody. And of course, that's his pal, the cockroach, which they will be with us until the end of time, I imagine. So he sees there's a storm, he comes in, and he goes to sleep. He shuts the door. Now he's into his own world. He just lets the cockroach in and shares a forgot what they were called in the US, but it's really funny. So essentially, or first let's go through this and then we'll end at that. He comes in and he places himself in this box, and that is the storytelling of his life. For example, now we realize that there's a lot of boxes. There have been a lot more Wallies here. This is a Wally truck. That's why he went back to the truck that he was delivered to in this planet. Obviously, they all went out of commission. Something happened to them. He's the last one left. But that was his box. Every box for all the other Wallies are actually his findings, his treasures there, because they're gone. And so he goes to sleep. And he just wants to rock himself a little bit like a baby, which really endears him even more so to us, because it's kind of betrays his essentially childish nature. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, and we'll see if we have some questions for me, and perhaps I would elaborate on some of the other things that we touch upon briefly here. This is from Incredibles, from the original Incredibles, obviously. The same thing we have here. We have an environment that very much informs us about the character of our hero, of our superhero, in this particular case, Mr. Incredible, Mr. Incredible Bob. As you can see that he has a statue, he has newspaper articles, this is in the very beginning when he is really missing being a superhero, and he looks into these articles and photographs of his previous greatness. That is right there, the moment when we realize what is going on through him, what motivates him, who is here, because we have just been introduced to the guy. and he just received his mission. And that is his environment. We walked into his environment, and that informs us a great deal. What he's done before, his achievements, and there goes his super suit.
This message will self-destruct.
That's funny. So, all right, I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Well, Anthony, your session had remarkable insights, and I'm sure not only you, but everybody out there has learned so much more about the animation industry and peek into the sketches from all our favorite movies, and it was so good to look at. Now, I believe we will be doing a fun quiz with our audience as well. Yes, folks, there'll be a fun session. We will be guessing the names of our favorite characters. So how we will do this quiz is very simple. There will be a question on your screen and 4 options as well. After 10 seconds, you will get a hint. Well, making it like a Pictionary game, and we'll have 30 seconds to answer the questions. Anthony, are you ready?
Me? Yeah. I don't know if I can answer them all.
Well, you'll probably be giving hints and help to all the kids out there answering questions. But four questions for all our lovely young learners out there, the world of animation. And here it is. Which movie is this? The first question on your screen. A clownfish who travels to Sydney looking for his son. That's kind of easy. No, Anthony?
It's too easy. Yeah.
It's too easy. Well, let's see if we get it right. Incredibles, Brave, Finding Nemo, or is it Titan? And with a whopping 97%. Oh, the answer is Finding Nemo. That's right. You got the hint there as well. Very, very clever. Finding Nemo. All right. Second question, Anthony. Let's hope our young learners get this one right too. Lightning McQueen understands the true meaning of friendship and family. What movie? Cars. The Lion King. Is it Brave or is it Toy Story? I'd say once again, kind of easy, right, Anthony?
Very easy.
Very easy. All right. Well, they're getting it all right out here. When it's saying easy, 95% are saying, 97% have gone down to saying Cars. Is it Cars? Yes, it is. Well done.
Who was 3%? I want to know.
Okay. Third question. Which movie is this? Won the Best Animated Film at Golden Globe, BAFTA, and Academy Awards in 2008. Something to think about. Was it Shrek? Was it Finding Dory? Was it Toy Story? Or was it Ratatouille? Think about it, guys. 2008. I mean, if that hint doesn't give it, Anthony, what will? Right? Well, they've come down to 75, 80%, 84 still. Guys, look at the hint there. What's the hint saying? All right, it's going up. It's going to 92 now. The right answer is D, Ratatouille, one of the finest films you'll ever see. The fourth question, the last question. Which movie is this once again? 78-year-old Carl and a boy named Russell's journey to Paradise Falls. Is it Up? Is it Zootopia? Is it Inside Out? Or is it Soul? Think, guys. Think. Is it Up? Well, 90% seem to be thinking it's up. It's come down to 93. And there are balloons and a house. Anthony, once again. Yeah. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The right answer is up. That is the right answer. Well done, guys. Well done on answering those questions. We get them slightly easy, but majority if you got them right, which is all that matters. Now we have a super fun Q&A session with Anthony where he's told us all about his world of animation, but now you guys get to ask him questions. And again, it's going to be through a poll. So we're going to fire up some questions on the screen and you guys will tell us what's the exact question you want Anthony to answer for you. Okay? So Q&A with Anthony Christov. Anthony, if you're ready?
I'm ready.
And the poll is saying, Anthony, what qualifications do I need to become an animator? It's over to you.
All right, so we need to clarify what is an animator. Animator is a very specific profession within animation. Quite frankly, my mom, rest her soul, she always told all my neighbors that I'm an animator, and no matter how many times I corrected her that I'm an art director, I'm not an animator. She never got it, because if I'm in the animation industry, I must be an animator, right? And so animator is essentially strictly the person that does the animation, which is the acting of the characters. And so the qualifications that you need is, first of all, is to to like acting, to be part of us acting. Many kids, many young people, when we are young, we like to act and pretend and take part of plays. I think that that's a very important start for you, just to like it. The second thing, even though these days pretty much most animation is done on computers, it's really important to have really good drawing skills, so that you can think spatially, so you can kind of understand how these characters, they're not always human or animal. They're sometimes, like with Wally, they're not human, but how things work spatially in perspective, and of course, everything else that comes with drawing. And eventually, you're going to have to learn about how the different softwares work. But acting, drawing, design, and a degree of technological knowledge is very important to become an animator.
All right. How has the animation industry evolved with technology? And here's what they want to hear the answer to.
So animation has evolved tremendously. I think that people shouldn't make the mistake thinking that it has changed, but evolved is the right word, because the principles are always basically the same. The good storytelling, the good design, technology is the means of which we deliver it. And I think that with the advance of technology in the 21st century, we have raised the expectations from the audience, and people want to see something phenomenal. They want to see something really beautiful, and they're expecting that. That's why I think technology is always raising the bar of the quality of the visuals, but essentially the skills and the essence, the heart of it all, it's very much the same as it was 100 years ago when Disney was making his films, when he was beginning with his films. And it's the solid story that you want to tell, the solid design, and that you put in heart in the story so that you can engage people, make them and invest them and make them care about your story.
And I think they're all leaning towards which is the most complex character ever made and why.
So complex, there are different types of complex. There are complex in terms of modeling or rigging. So modeling is how you model something in a computer with different softwares, and rigging is how you kind of rig it so it moves, where you put your moving points on your face, on the body. And I don't know which one is the most complex. And the other idea of complex is when a character is very complex, it's not very straightforward. It's because we're all complex as people. We are not either all good or all bad or all stupid or all smart or all anything. We're a bit of everything. We're complex humans. And some characters are pretty straightforward and kind of plain, and some characters are very complex, as we are as humans. And I think that very often the villains are, when it comes to the characters, the villains are very complex because there's a contradiction within the villains. I think that Pixar is pretty good with coming up with complex villains that are not all black and white bad people, and not every good person is a good person. We all have a little bit of things in us to work out and work on. As far as the complexity, the technological complexity, I think that we at Pixar delivered. We kind of came up with a lot of ways to make things pretty complicated. For example, with Sully, Monsters Inc., his cotton fur, with Remy and the rats in Ratatouille, the fur of the smooths, like the dog smooths, basically the skin moves over the body. You can feel how sometimes the fur would react to their acting, right? And that was very complex technologically. So yeah, we have to be kind of separating when you say complex character. complex character can be not a very simple personality, a complex personality, or complex technological from a technological point of view. So, but the short answer is that I have not really thought about that.
Well, but he is telling us that a lot of work goes into whatever character that they're making, simple or complex. Why is 2D animation predominantly used in cartoons, Anthony?
So 2D, it's kind of a loaded proposition these days because it's not really, I mean, it's CG, right? It's just not 3D, you know, and because everything is done in some sort of softwares. I think that when you say cartoons, I don't know what that means. A cartoon is I mean, some people would say that Pixar makes cartoons. I mean, like I worked on Cars tunes. I production designed a bunch of Cars kind of franchise shorts, and there were 3D and there were still cartoons, right? So I think that probably the question is more like in TV animation for TV direct, it's 2D. And to me, I think there's two answers to this question. First is because the audience is a little bit younger, and as you can see, toys for 2-year-olds or 1-year-olds, or even babies, they're big and red and yellow, and you know, because you know they can recognize those images a little bit better. They can absorb them. As we grow up a little bit, we start absorbing more complicated images, and so TV animation is often for like younger children, and so that works with 2D a little bit better. And in the end of the day, it's cheaper to do it in 2D, and so the budgets for TV animation are not very high.
Yes, I think they all want to know about the behind the scenes of WALL-E. Yeah.
Right. So WALL-E was a really difficult film to make. It was difficult because it was creating a world that didn't exist, but at the same time, we had to find beauty in a really terrible world that humans had made of themselves, you know. And so, how do you find beauty in trash? Like, it's really easy to find beauty in the coral reef and finding Nemo because, you know, it's just naturally beautiful. But creating beautiful scenes within a trash planet, it was a bit of a challenge, and that was hard. And also, as a story, the film wasn't really, it took a while to evolve. I think for the first year we lived with the alien king and queen we had. That was part of the story. And it took us a year to realize that's not a very smart way to go. And so we changed the story midway. And every time we change the concept and the story in the middle of something, I think that you are making things very difficult. So WALL-E was a difficult film to make, and but it was obviously very gratifying to see the result. It's a lot of people's favorite film, and I think it's because pretty much everybody recognizes themselves to a degree in someone like WALL-E, you know, because we're kind of, in the end of the day, we're alone against the world, and we know about our vulnerabilities, especially when we're growing up. People maybe they don't see it; they see us as somebody who has their things together, their life together. But inside, you have these doubts, and inside we're searching for, trying to make some sense out of the world, and trying to look for patterns, trying to look for something that you can kind of put to logic, and that's why we like WALL-E a lot. And the fact that he's lonely, and the fact that he doesn't speak, we get to understand who he is just by his actions. I think that's what made a lot of people find WALL-E probably their favorite film.
Very special film at that, Anthony. What you're saying so well resonated with me when I watched the film. It was an emotional roller coaster ride of watching this robot who wasn't very emotive with the face, but the loneliness that he went through, his small little friend that followed him everywhere, and just doing the work that he did. You went through his range of emotions just by no expression on his face. So kudos to you on that. And of course, it's a film that, you know, my kid loves, I love, and I can go on watching it again and again. Thank you for indulging us with that Q&A. And if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few quick rapid fire questions I'm just going to throw out some questions at you, and you want some quick, solid, rapid-fire answers from you as well. All right. So first question coming your way. Okay. What are the biggest myths about animation?
The biggest myths about animation is that it's for children. I think that's the biggest myth. No, hands down, because animation is for everybody. I mean, people, especially when we made those films at Pixar, we made sure that there's something for everyone, for parents, for grandparents. I had my neighbor come to me, and I did not work on Up, by the way, and it's one of my favorite films. He came to me and he said, "Hey, by the way, my mom called me from New York and told me that I should go see Up." And that guy was 65. And so I thought his mom must be at least 85, if not more. And so you have an 85-year-old calling a 65-year-old and telling him, go see a film about the house with balloons that flies with balloons, right? I mean, think about the concept, you know. So this is not, the biggest myth is that animation is for children.
What was your most fun project till date?
You know, I have to say Finding Nemo, because that film, it felt like it almost made itself. I mean, it was such a logical kind of shooting fish in a barrel, no pun intended. I mean, it was kind of like, you know, logically, on every level, it made perfect sense from the very beginning. And we were not kind of searching, we're not taking any dead alleys or anything like this. We just made that film that we're making.
What was your most difficult project till now?
WALL-E. I think I answered that before. It was WALL-E. It was a difficult film.
Your advice to students, and why should they think of animation as a career?
Okay, so the Americans have this really cool saying that if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, you know. And so if you love this, if this is for you, it's a great way to spend the rest of your life, because if the worst thing that can happen to you is to be stuck in a wrong job. Like some people love to work in a bank, they love numbers, they love everything that comes with being a banker. But if you are an animator and inside in your soul, and you end up getting a job in a bank, I think you're going to be very kind of miserable for the rest of your life. You know, you need to find out if something is for you. And it's a very gratifying life, because you're every day, everything you do every day is very different from the things you did yesterday, right? There's no repetition of anything, and you get a chance to be creative. You get a chance to work with really smart people that are also kind of nerdy and creative. And I think that it's a world that you can spend a very comfortable lifetime building a career. And it's gratifying, because for the most part, you can make a living from it. And so you have to find out that it's for you. And if it's for you, frankly, it is a really, like I said, gratifying career and enjoyable. And the other thing that's very important, not to be underestimated, and that comes from, without being very modest, comes from the ego of every one of us. I mean, these films that we just talked about, they're going to be around long after I'm not, right? And so you're leaving something, you know, you're leaving a legacy, you're leaving something for the audience. I was watching 101 Dalmatians, original 1961 film, not long ago. I was born in 1961, and pretty much everybody that worked on it is dead right now. And I love that movie. I love their work. I appreciated their work. I enjoyed what they've done, and they're not with us anymore, most of them, if not all. But I enjoyed what they have done, and so that is something that's very important as well, you know.
Well, Anthony, Christov, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for giving us an insight into the world of animation. There's so much, not only the kids, but me and everybody backstage has also learned and imbibed from what you've been saying. Thank you for the wonderful characters. Thank you for the great movies. And we look forward to whatever you do next. And thank you for imparting the lovely knowledge to our young learners today. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.